Hey, hey, it is Rick once again, 28 millimeter RPG. And I do this reference every once in a while. Uh, Valley of Dolls, Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. I may have referenced it as Return to the Valley of Dolls. Yeah, it's Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. A old movie put together by Roger Ebert from Siskel and Ebert. If you're Gen Xer out there, you know who that is. They were critics that were on TV all the time, and they would do movie reviews. Well, he did a movie, Roger Ebert, and this is his movie. This was before the critique kind of thing that was going on. He was a director in this, and you're going to see some very interesting interaction conversations here. And the reason why I reference this movie is because you're going to get an example here of a conversation which occurs one action per round. So we got three characters here in the beginning. Well, actually four characters. It starts off with three, but she goes to the phone and phones up another guy, and we're gonna see the two conversations start up simultaneously, one action at a time, going back and forth to the conversation. When it's only a couple of people, it's pretty easy. When it's two conversations, I should say, it's pretty easy to follow. But once we get to the party scene, I'm going to go ahead and say change. Every time it's one action conversation. And if you watch this without me going change, you're going to feel like your brain is about to explode because you can't keep up with multiple conversations going on here. So let's watch this.
And I got loads of things in my closet. Why don't you go call your friends, then slip into anything you like, okay?
Oh, groovy, thanks.
Susan, have you taken leave of your senses? Some anonymous hippie rock and roll singer
This
drops
is
in
the
here
first
out of the
conversation.
blue sky, and you fall for a line.
You won't believe this, but
The next
Been
conversation.
invited to a party at Seaman Parcells.
Is this for real?
That Casey and
Next.
Pet and me
Come
was
up.
there.
This creature marches in without a cent to her name and a highly dubious pedigree. And without a moment's thought, you rashly, and I must say recklessly, dispose of a third of your money.
Porter, let me handle this.
Does any party start when you get there?
Susan, please.
We're late already.
So here's the party scene.
They just banned my last film in Cincinnati.
When I'm with you, pussycat,
Next.
who needs grass?
You'd have to see it to
Next.
believe it. Of course, I nearly choked.
Next.
Bitch took a drink.
Emerson said Luscious bothered every woman at the
He
bar.
is really ready. And do you know what happened after he took a drink? Fresca? He snowed in his pants.
You know what he uses for underarm deodorant? Hey,
Cool. Like my old man really blew his mind, you know? And he said he was gonna kill me if he found any more grass around the house.
Escape, man.
All right.
And you're a moonchild.
And you're a bitch.
I think it's better after the change.
I'm with you.
By that time, I, for one, was ready to roll over and fall asleep.
How about not to your leash?
And then Tony said, well, why don't you come over to my pad? I got a waiting pool full of mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise?
I found the European women far more receptive than last time.
She went after me like a bear.
Okay, so you see hopefully what I mean. If you have the conversation carrying on in one action increments and then move to the next character to carry on another conversation, it'll feel disjointed, kind of like that, because you're remembering things from the conversation, and then it jumps to the next one, and then the next one. And by the fourth time down, you've forgotten what the original conversation was with the first conversation. So if you're doing this in a role-playing game, I find it will be very disorienting. If you carry the conversation back and forth just a little bit, maybe about 3 rounds, say, back and forth. So you got a question, a response, a statement, a response, a quote, a response, and then switch to another couple. It flows a little better because you can remember, you can contain in your head what the conversation was. the next conversation, so you can go back and forth. In the meantime, you do have enough to kind of memorize a paragraph worth of information going back and forth, rather than just one line each and then to the next, one line each to the next, one line each. It becomes too brutal for the mind to comprehend the whole thing. It starts making you feel like you're on a mushroom trip or something, and you'll feel a little strange when you're trying to remember or recall information that was relayed to you 4 conversations down the road. So just putting this out there is my example of how conversations will be kind of weird if you have just one action per turn conversation, and not relaying the conversation back and forth. If it's a non-combat situation, it makes sense to have about 3 rounds of going back and forth with the conversation. If it is in a combat situation, I would say this would be the preferred way to do combat, is do your quirks and things, every round, and you're not extensionally, you're not making a conversation, but you're adding to the action with your conversation in a combat situation. Not necessarily trying to carry a conversation back and forth with your enemy, although it is an interesting thing to do if there's just a couple of characters involved, or a couple of conversations. It's not so drastic. So putting that out there as an example of some interesting cinematic parlaying of conversation. And I'd like to hear other people's ideas on relaying information and conversations without it feeling too disjointed when you are going through your rounds all the time. So in a 4D conversation, there we go. Leave that to you guys. So some interesting insight to think of.